Hi everyone, so a lot of you guys were asking me to make a complete video on how to make the perfect resume for Deloitte NLA. So that is what we're going to talk about in today's video. We'll be having a look at how do you make your resume, what format to choose, what template to choose, what website to use for making your resume, what to put in your resume, what not to put in your resume. All of these questions will be answered in this video. So make sure that you watch the complete video before you apply. So do not be in a rush. Watch the complete video, understand all of the points, then make a proper resume and then apply. You don't need to be in a hurry because else you may end up making a mistake that will cost you a great opportunity that comes pretty much once a year, right? So it's a great opportunity. Just understand everything properly, take some time, make a proper resume, and then apply. Do not be in a rush. All right, so let's get straight into it. The first question that might be coming in your mind is what template to use, what format to use. And in off campus, different people will tell you different things. You have different formats going around. You have multiple formats on Overleaf, on Word, on Canva. People use different formats. Right now, forget about all of that because Deloitte has a particular resume format that they themselves recommend. So if you go on Deloitte's official website for NLA, if you go on the NLA page and you scroll down below, they have made an entire blog about how to create a great resume. You can click on that, you can open the website. I'll show it on the screen. So on the right, they've given sort of like a sample resume format. So this is what we'll be following because this has been recommended by Deloitte themselves. So of course, this is sort of optimized according to their scans, their ATS checks. So we need to be using the same resume template. So for this specific case, we have to make a resume according to the format that Deloitte recommends. Okay. Now, if you want an editable template, if you want an editable format, then I'll give some links in the description box. You can use that. Now, second thing is what website do we make our resume on? So of course, you have many resume builders out there. People even build their resume on Canva, other places. You don't need any of that. You don't need any fancy resume builder right now for Deloitte. There are only two things that I'll recommend. One is just making like a Word doc or like a Google Doc sort of a website for making your resume, like a Microsoft Word document or Google document or something like that. And second is Overleaf. These two are the only ones I will recommend for this specific case. You don't need any fancy looking resume. You don't need any fancy template where you have a lot of colors, you have a lot of things. Those things are not required. So either make a resume on Word or doc or make a resume on Overleaf. These two are the only things I'll recommend for this case. You don't need anything fancy. Now let's talk about the content of the resume, what all you actually put in your resume. So if you take a look at the format that Deloitte themselves have provided, you will see that they keep a picture as well. Now, in off-campus, generally we do not recommend to keep picture, but in this case, I do recommend keeping a picture because again, here, even though they've called it optional, I recommend that you keep a picture because this goes according to the standard that they have. So you can keep a passport size picture of you on the top right. You'll be able to see in the format or you'll be able to see in the example. Keep a profile picture, not a profile picture, keep a passport size picture on the top right. Now this picture needs to be professional, this needs to be a formal picture. Don't upload selfies, don't upload any photo, just a passport size photo of you wearing something formal, a simple picture. That should be more than enough. So on the top right, just keep a passport size formal picture, and in any format, on Overleaf or anywhere, but you just put this. Okay, so Google Doc or Microsoft Word will be better for this. Now after the picture, of course, on the left you need to have your details. So you need to have your name, you need to have all of your profiles, you need to have your LinkedIn profile, you need to have your GitHub profile, your email, your contact information. Now about your GitHub profile, I will recommend adding your GitHub profile if you're active or semi-active there. If it's a dead GitHub profile, don't add it, it's not needed. But if you feel like your profile is a bit active, you can add your GitHub as well. So add the links to your profiles. Now this is the first segment done, where you have your picture and you have your information, your contact information and other things. Right below that, you need to have a career objective. You can also call it summary, but you can pretty much, it's better to call it like a career objective. Now, this career objective needs to be sort of like a summary of your professional profile. Again, in general trends, I don't recommend having a resume summary. In general way, I don't recommend having a career objective. But in this specific case, it's a bit better to keep because again, it goes according to the standard that Deloitte themselves have said. So you can keep a career objective. You can talk about your profile. You can say that you're a full stack developer looking for roles in, looking for challenging roles, whatever. You can just, it's not that difficult. You can just copy paste a couple of career objective lines, but make it according to your profile. Okay. So if you're into full stack, if you're into data, whatever you're into, make your career objective according to that. Okay, so there are certain keywords like you can say, looking for roles, looking for challenging roles, etc., etc. You can just go online. You'll find various ways on how to make career objective. So just write a couple of lines according to that. I see a lot of people make their career objective 4 5 lines big. No, that's too much. 2 to 3 lines is the max your career objective should be running to, not more than that. Okay. So career objective here, I do recommend putting. After career objective, you can put your skills. I see a lot of people, what they do, they add skills like Java, C, C++, and they add everything in a very unorganized manner. So you don't need to do that. Have everything in bullet points. And even in bullet points, have categories. Like, skills have categories, programming languages, frameworks, tools, etc. You need to categorize those. Okay. So add skills. If you're good with Java, add that. If you're good with C++, add that. If you're good with, web dev, JavaScript, add that. React, Node, whatever you've worked with, whatever you're confident in, add that. But don't, like, try to add something which you're not comfortable with. Otherwise you're going to have a lot of issues in the interview. So be very careful about this, because the entire interview, a major part of the interview is going to be about your resume. So if your resume is not matching what you're saying in the interview, if you're not able to back it up in the interview, you will get straight up rejected in the interviews. So only put things in your resume that you feel like, yes, you've actually worked on. Don't be lying in your resume. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So write your skill section neatly, bullet points, make sure to put bullet points, make sure to use bullet points, write down the skills, categorize those skills, programming languages, frameworks, tools, etc. Okay. Now, after you're done with the skill section, then you can put your education. In education, again, everything should be in order. Your college, your 12th, your 10. Make sure that you put your stream, make sure that you put your CGPA, make sure you put your percentage. Everything should be in proper details. Okay. Now, once you're done with all of that, now we come to the main part, that is having your projects, achievements, position of responsibilities, and trainings, etc. So what I will recommend, see, you have to go in order of priority. I see a lot of people don't give enough space to projects, and then they put a whole section for position of responsibilities. Avoid adding things like position of responsibilities, etc., etc. What I'll recommend, see, go in order. If you have any experience, if you have any internship experience, first add that. If you don't have any internship experience, then the next most important thing is your project section. So add a project section. Again, you can add 2 projects, you can add 2 or more projects. I think 2 will be more than enough. Pretty much it should be enough. You can add 3 also, but 2 will be enough. I would say 2 will be enough. So add a couple of projects, you can add 3 projects as well. Each project, put the name of the project first, make it a clickable link, make it a hyperlink. So once someone clicks on that, it should redirect to either the deployed project or it should redirect to the GitHub page. Okay. So what I will recommend is, if your project is deployed, add the deployment link. Okay. Or if not, then you can add the GitHub link, but one thing should be there. So make the name clickable. After that, you can put the text tags that you've used, and down below you can have the project description. Now in the project description, you have to make sure that you mention what text tags you've used. Let's say that you've made a full stack project. You need to mention that you have made a full stack project using React, using Node, using this. You've developed front end using React, you've developed back end using Node. You have to mention that. And then a very important point, listen to this carefully, is that you have to mention a quantifying impact. Okay, so whenever possible, you have to mention a quantifying impact. So let's say that you're making a machine learning project and you were able to get some particular accuracy. You have to write that, got this to 87% accuracy, got this to 90% accuracy. You have to mention the percentage and you have to make it bold. So the text tags need to be bold and the quantifying impact needs to be bold. Again, if you're making a full stack project, in backend, if you're able to make a API faster, or if you're able to increase efficiency, reduce latency, anything, if it's quantifiable, make sure that you put it in numbers. Okay, numbers matters a lot. So if you're able to put quantifying impact of your project, okay, so mention the text tags clearly, keep the description clean in bullet points, and mention the quantifying impact. These things are absolutely going to be very important. Okay, so write the project description well. Apart from that, if you have any certifications that are good, that are company backed, or that you can say are proper certifications, not any YouTuber's course or anything like that. No, if you have any good certifications, add it. Otherwise, you can skip it. Likewise for achievements, if you have any good achievements, if you have taken part in any hackathon, if you have taken part in any good competition and you've gotten a good ranking, or if you have a good profile in any coding website, then you can add it. You can mention about your rating, etc. Otherwise, again, this is something that you can skip. But project section is something that you absolutely need to have. And apart from that, you can have achievements, you can have certifications. If you have any experience, you can mention that as well. If you have any virtual internship experience, you can mention that as well if that comes with the certificate. Like we have many 4H virtual internships that come with a certificate. So you can again mention them under certifications or in the experience as well. But if they come with a certificate, only then mention it. Okay. But project section is something that you have to absolutely focus on. This is going to be a make or break sort of a situation. Now, a lot of people will ask, do project tech stacks matter? Like, do we need a particular technology? So there's nothing like that. You can use whatever technologies you've worked with. If you worked with full stack, of course, put full stack projects. If you worked with data, put data projects. If you worked with DSML, put those projects. If you worked with Python, put those projects. If you worked with Java backend, put those projects. The tech stack does not matter that much, but the projects should be fine. It should not be a very basic project. It should be a decent complexity project, and the description is like more important. The description matters, that everything is properly written. The tech stacks are properly written. Like it needs to be there that you've used React, you've used Node. It needs to come off in that description. If you're able to put that, then that is going to help you a lot. Okay. So write a proper description. Project, the exact type of project does not matter. The tech stack of the project does not matter. But the description you write, the quantifying impact you put, and how you present it, that is more important. Okay. To focus the most on the project section. Everything else is more or less just common things that you have to write, like career objective, your educational background, your skills, etc. Project section is where it actually makes a difference. Now, in the remaining space, you can put something like position of responsibilities, or you can put languages known, or you can put hobbies and interests, but all these three are optional. Let me be very clear. If you feel like your project section, your certification, your experience, all those things are pretty much good enough and they're filling the resume, you can skip on these. But if you feel like your resume is having a space, you don't have enough things, then you can put something like languages known, or position of responsibilities, or hobbies, interests. But generally these things are not important. There will not be a selection difference based on this. Whether you have languages known or not, there's not going to be a difference based on that. But if you feel like your resume is not having enough things, then you can sort of add them. But it's optional, it's not mandatory. Project section, that is mandatory. Certification achievements, they are again optional, but they're more important, they're higher priority. Experience is again not mandatory, but if you have, again, it's a higher priority, you can add it. Okay. But hobbies, interests, these sort of things, they're not at all important, and it will not make a difference. Okay. So use all of these points, prepare a proper resume. Now, one more thing, one more doubt that people have: what about the ATS score? So here the ATS score is not going to matter that much, because you're already using a like template and a format that Deloitte themselves recommend. So it's not going to cause any issues, but the content matters. Okay, so you have to make sure that whatever content you're writing is going to be important. Okay, so whatever content you're writing is going to be very important. Be very careful. Apart from that, make sure that there's no mistakes in the resume. Make sure there's no spelling mistakes. Make sure that there's no inconsistency. I see a lot of people have inconsistencies in their resume. They have one letter capital, they have one letter small. It should not be the case. They have bullet point someplace, they don't have bullet point someplace. No, it should be consistent. There should be no grammatical mistake, there should be no spelling mistake. These things are very important. And don't put any emojis, don't put any special colors. Keep it very like clean, neat. You don't need any special effects, special colors, emojis and things like that. I see a lot of people, they put emojis and all, they put special tabular colors, they put xyz things. Don't, because I'm not saying that will directly reject you. Even then, you may end up getting selected. But why take the risk? Okay, why put some things that can get you rejected? Just use a clean format that Deloitte themselves recommend, and then that should be pretty much good enough. Okay, so use all of these things, prepare a proper resume, and then you can apply. One more thing I'll try to do, I'll try to get some sample resumes that have gotten selected in the past. Whenever I'm able to find them, I'll put them in the description box. You can check it out later. So I'll try to find some sample resumes and give in the description box. But the template is going to be in the description box. Just have a look at that and create something similar to that on Overleaf or on Google Doc or on Microsoft Word, something like that. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I hope that clears a lot of doubts. Don't worry too much. It's not going to be that difficult. Just have everything proper. If you've made a couple of good projects, it is going to pretty much end up getting selected. Okay. So that's pretty much it. If you still have any doubts, feel free to ask me in the comments. And make sure that you subscribe, turn the notifications on, because I'll be bringing you guys a lot more opportunities. Apart from this, you will be seeing a lot of opportunities in the complete year. It's only January. Lot more opportunities to come. Make sure that you subscribe, because I'll be bringing all the opportunities first on my channel. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Let's see you guys in the next video.